Hello, everyone. Today I have my one of my favorite clients, Montana, here with us. She's going to share her story with you guys, how she overcame binge eating and emotional overeating and some self-sabotage behavior so that today she is having so much more energy and she feels so much closer to her dear son. So let's welcome Montana here. If you are here watching live, dropping live in the comments. If you are watching the replay, dropping replay, and let's just cheer up Montana here. So Montana is a beautiful mom of a beautiful boy, and she also have pets. She's living in the US, and she's a beautiful like hair stylist. Like I saw her work. It just, if you live in that area, go to her. Like she's amazing. So is there anything, Montana, you want to tell everybody here who you are that I have missed?
Yeah, I'm a single mom and I am in a relationship and I work two jobs. I have a second job, so I work a lot and my cat is very clingy, so I'm sorry. Um yes, I'm 33, almost 34, and I'm the oldest of three siblings and pretty close to my family. That's mostly in a nutshell. So
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing that. Um,
Mhm.
do you want to tell everybody first, like what you were struggling with in the past,
Mhm.
and then how and what is your life right now, and what helped you?
Yep. So, basically, I have been struggling with emotional eating. I would say probably since when I really remember it being like the food, it was probably like high school. I started to develop like really bad food habits around that time, like an unhealthy relationship with food. Um, and it kind of just like kept snowballing into different things. Like I've had like a number of, different issues around it. My parents got divorced when I was really young and I kind of struggled a lot emotionally with that. And I've always been a really emotional, like in touch with my emotions, not like ashamed to show my emotions because that's how I was raised. But a lot of times they would almost like run me, and that was just like a symptom of kind of like my self-esteem, and I would just get like hurt really easily or embarrassed or whatever the case. And so I, being like an empath and really emotional and sensitive already kind of like set me back a little bit in life at times. But I struggled pretty bad with like the emotional eating, and the symptoms of that. And then there were like periods of time where I could kind of, keep it together, but I wasn't really living a life that like I could sustain. I was kind of just, I would do, like, I mean, I did, a 12-step program for my eating. I've been to therapists who specialized in eating disorders. I still have seen a therapist very recently. Like I had all these things that I was doing that I was trying to get rid of it. And somehow it seemed to like get better. And then almost it would get worse. At times after I would have a period of like being good. Right. And so,
Yeah.
um, so that's kind of where it all started. And I always had, I mean, I had kind of an absent father. I didn't really like have a lot of attention and support from my dad, but my mom was always really supportive, but she was a single mom with three kids. So that was very, there's just always a lot going on. Um, so fast forward to now, and I left my son's dad, and that was an emotionally abusive, controlling relationship. And I went on my own. So I was like living with a roommate and with my son, and I was just really struggling to see any kind of like hope that like, just the things that he was continuing to do would end, or that like I was going to be able to support myself and my son. And there's always been like a lot of insecurity around money because I had a single mom and we didn't have a lot of money. And so that was just like always a constant stressor that I kind of grew up with. And I was really trying my best, and I've formed right all these good habits in my life because of all the work that I have done on myself. And I did have hope, and I had overcome, being suicidal when I was younger, just out of college, and I overcame, a lot of different things. But for some reason, like the food part of it was just really still like solving that piece of the puzzle was just not happening for me. And a program I was utilizing was kind of almost making me feel more and more guilty, like I had to be a certain way in order to like recover from this. And I just didn't feel like it was fitting into my life the way I needed it to. And so then you started reaching out to me, on social media and asking me just questions, and I was, being a person who's been hurt over and over, at first I was like skeptical because I was like, she doesn't care about me. Like that's, and then like you invested a lot of time, just like your own free time, one-on-one with me, and you were really vulnerable with me, and I was like really vulnerable, and I was super emotional at the time and like really upset a lot. And then I just saw like your recovery and your experience and like the proof that like you had your business model and you had all these things that I was like looking for, and I just had never really invested. Like I had never been to like rehab. I had never had like a period of time where I just like focused on myself. It's always been about like helping other people, doing things for other people. And so I decided to like take the plunge, and it just, it was so part of my, emotional eating also has like other sides to it besides just binging. And I had become so, I would like starve myself and then not, like just there were just all these behaviors. And like talking with you, like I basically got like permission to eat again. Like that was like a big, like that's something it seems so trivial and so simple, but I was like, I had so many unhealthy connections to all these foods and all these things. And like, through your studies of the brain and why we become how we are in this type of, of like issue that we're having, like I was able to see why it was happening, how it was happening, how it was formed, and just kind of like almost like look at myself from an outside perspective of and a loving perspective rather than like a punishing perspective. So, and I realized going through this, like I thought I was a good at being vulnerable, good at having relationships, which I had a lot of the puzzle pieces to do that, but I did not have like the true vulnerability. And like by trusting this process and trusting myself that I could do it, that was like a big investment in myself and a big leap that I really needed to take. So yeah.
I remember we were on a call and you were struggling of believing in yourself. I remember that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and then we talk about, like you have to have that self-belief in order to achieve
Mhm.
anything, basically, right? Anything. And
Mhm.
and I and I I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful for you that you've shared so like vulnerable things today, with the audience here. And by the way, Nana said, thank you for telling your story. Thank you, Nana, for making the comments. And so can you tell everybody here, what is your life look like now? Like, how is it different for you now?
Yeah, so I think honestly, the crazy thing is like, well, there's a ripple effect within like my immediate life with my relationships and especially my son that I've seen a huge change. But I think the biggest part is just like, you know, it's like the life is going to keep happening no matter what. And I've struggled a lot in the past with like postpartum depression after like I ran a half marathon. It was like, well, now what do I do? Like it's over. I've put all this work in, so I kind of at the end of the coaching, I kind of had to I was able to talk myself through the fact that like my brain has changed. I have formed new habits and I have found new ways to deal with what I'm going through. And for me, that I would have literal mood changes because of like the symptom of what I was going through with the food. And now it's like I first look at myself as a priority to take care of in order to fulfill the things I need to fulfill.
Yeah.
And whatever that may be. And life is not like, it's not always simple and easy to figure out, and you don't always get through it gracefully, and there are things that are going to keep happening, right? Like, and now I'm just in more of like an offensive mode, and I'm just like letting life happen and then letting myself feel what I need to feel, do what I need to do, instead of feeling like something's going to happen and I have to, I have to like figure it out or be prepared. It's just like, it's really incredible. And then just like with my son, I mean, there would be times when I would be like starving because I wasn't eating enough during the day, and I would literally just like snap on him only because I was hungry and like not getting enough nutrition, and like now I eat throughout the day, and there were times when I just like wouldn't sit down and eat meals with my own son. I just wouldn't. And now like we sit down and eat meals together, and like um my partner in particular, I can like communicate things that I need better. Like I'm not afraid to say what I need and say what I mean. And at work, I don't feel like I have to prove myself to anyone because I feel good enough, which
Okay.
is a miracle in itself, and it's not a miracle. It's like I did the work, right? But it feels good. And I feel good. I feel like I was also searching for like the answer, like what's the answer and the fix for this. And instead of like continuing to search, it's like I'm looking into myself for the answers that I need, instead of watching other people or trying to figure it out through what other people do. It's like, what's best for me? I need to do that.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I think, like you mentioned, because you are a mom, and I know that there are a lot of moms here in our community. And as a mom myself as well, it's very easy that we just put everybody else needs in front of our needs, right? We just want to look after everybody. And I think on a sad side, that the society is also expecting women to be always looking after others, always be there for others. And we always, most of the time, we forgot actually we need to fill our own cup in order to share with others. And so for the people who are right now, they don't feel like they can prioritize themselves, and they feel like I have to look after others. I have to, like really just drive myself into ground in order to help others, but not looking after myself. What would you say to them?
I would say it's not true. I would say it's that's a pressure that you don't need to put on yourself. And you're going to burn out, and you're worth taking a moment for yourself, even if it's just a moment. Like, it's, I think there's like also like a certain, there's almost like a competition, sometimes with like who the biggest martyr is. And once you kind of like let go, and like you no longer feel like you're in that race, it's like you're in a whole new lane. And it's and that's the other thing too, is like, it's not perfect. Like, taking like self-care is, and taking time for yourself, and putting yourself before the others so you can help take care of others, is, it looks like whatever it needs to look like. And that's, I think, the biggest thing I've learned for me. And if people in your life are not going to support you in that, that's one of the hardest things too, is like the relationships that change as a result of taking care of yourself. Then they don't really care about you. If they don't really want you to change and grow, like if they don't support that, then maybe reevaluate those relationships.
Yeah, yeah, that is really, I feel like that's the truth that we all need to hear sometimes. It's easier for us to, just, what is the old saying, just put our head in the sand and pretend nothing is happening. And the one time, like one day it's gonna all reveal, and it's gonna all, we're gonna feel that. We're gonna, feel hurt.
Yeah.
And just the last question, Montana, for everyone who don't believe that they can, they can do it too. They can achieve the freedom they want to achieve. They can enjoy the food, and also not being scared of like, oh my God, like I can't eat this, because if I'm eating this, I'm a bad person, or I just screw up the day, or I cannot have the life that I want. I have to just, deal with this for the rest of my life, because I'm just going to fail again, because I've tried so many things, I've tried so many diets in the past, and I always failed, and I'm just that kind of person. How would you say, what would you say to those people, like help them to see that they actually have the power within to change it as well, just like what you did?
I think that I think for me, like, as like, maybe for me, it's always been like to stay like curious and question things. And you do get so far into your own head where you only see one way, and that's like a black or white thinking, right? Like when you don't believe something, it's like a firm non-belief that you're gonna be able to heal. And like the second that you question that, and want more, like you have to want it, you have to want more for your life. But you know for me also, I have to look at like the people that care about me. Like I have to look at myself from a perspective of others who care about me. Like, would they want me to suffer like this for the rest of my life? No, they would not. And I just say, like, go for whatever you think could potentially change your life, because it's always going to be worth it. Like, it's always going to be worth it. You're never going to waste anything when you're investing in yourself. And it's really hard to let go of the guilt in doing that, but you just have, like, even for me still, and it's a journey. It's not, I mean, again, I'm not, just because I went through this, I'm not perfect. And I'm the first one to admit I'm not perfect. And just because I went through this doesn't mean I have all the answers. And just because, I've been binge free for 4 months doesn't mean like I think like I'm free and clear, like, shackles off. Like, there are a lot of behaviors that still come up and old thinking that I have to stop and like question and reevaluate, and I still have to do the work, right? Like we always
Yeah.
have to do the work on ourselves, but the work gets easier and easier. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's so beautiful to
Yeah.
hear your story and you'll learn and, you know, give hope
Yeah.
to whoever is listening to this. So yeah, thank you so much. And I'm so happy for you, for your achievement and for your new life that you're having right now. Just so
And thank you, because you loved me and believed in me unconditionally. And that was something that I really needed. I literally said, I need someone to hold my hand through this before I met you. And then like I met you and you did that. So thank you.
Oh, I love you. I love you. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in here. And I will see you guys next week. Love you.
Love you. Bye.